Sir David Attenborough's final Frozen Planet programme earlier in the week, and I'm going to be talking to him about the evidence and about the series, another landmark.
The Sunday Times got the Durban talks in danger of collapse. By the time you read the story, you knew they hadn't collapsed. But it was a modified success. It's yet another of those international conferences where everybody agrees to do something, knowing they won't do it. It's called a success, so they've justified their efforts and all that to be done. Yeah. But the Durban talks did end in an agreement, which was to continue the Tokyo agreement they'd supposedly reached some years before. But it's been interesting. Climate change is one of those stories that sort of, despite David Attenborough, is sort of slithering off the agenda now. And it was an amusing story this week when there was a turbine caught fire.
The wind was too strong.
We all know that when the wind is too strong, you can't work a turbine, and you then have to pay the owner of the turbine a vast amount of money for not having bought the electricity from him. The lunacy of this industry makes common agricultural policy seem insane.
You're not an enthusiast for wind turbines, are you?
Well, they're just a very, very expensive way of giving some rich people lots more money.
And the incredible thing is, we've only got 3,000 of them so far, and think of the upset that it's caused. Chris Huhn's plan, is to build 32,000 more of them over the course of the next 20 years. Now, I'm sure that's not actually practically possible, but what are we doing?
The west side of the British Isles, just people should know, the western half of the British Isles will be coated in these machines if this sort of plan goes ahead, and it'll be entirely at public expense.
And for no CO2 emissions reduction anyway.
They have it, they have the whole desert covered in them, and it certainly feeds all the plants.
Let's turn from one part of the rural economy to another part of the rural economy, Jenny. I'm
repeatedly going there and spending a very long time.
Let me turn, if I could, to the controversy about the global warming point made. Not a phrase you use, I notice, in the script that you deliver for the final film, but nonetheless,
is likely to have a greater effect upon us than any other aspect of global warming.
Show some pretty vivid scenes of pack ice breaking up. And there are plenty of people, as you know, out there, Christopher Booker and Nigel and others, who say this is untrue, this is BBC propaganda, it's not really happening.
I'm surprised. I think they mostly say it's not man's fault. There are very few people who say it's not happening. If you go and ask people who are living up there whether it's happening or not, and they don't have any doubt, there isn't any question but that the poles are warming. The North Pole is warming. The South Pole is a different thing. And the South Pole is a huge ice cap, miles thick, and to some extent it creates its own weather. But the North Pole, I mean, it really is quite possible that within the next 20, 30 years, the North Pole in winter will remain open. And so you'll be able to sail from the Atlantic to the Pacific.
And what does that mean for the polar bears?
It means extinction. Well, yes, it means extinction for polar bears, really. But
at the end, you pose the question, you point out that through the history of the planet, animals have evolved to deal with different conditions and adapted, and you ask whether mankind can adapt to what's happening to the planet. And you leave that open.
Yes, the last programme was a very, very careful statement of what we see and what the evidence is.